Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to losing count at this point. Episode 65. I'm actually guessing. Is it episode 65? Pretty sure it is. Whatever. Of the On the Line Tennis Podcast. It's me, Jack, and today I'm joined by the Honourable Scott Barclay. How are you, Scott?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, Jack. I'm doing all right. Thank you very much for inviting me on. I always appreciate the chance to come on and chat Andy, but not just Andy
Yeah.
Murray, of course, not just Andy Murray. There's a lot more to unpack this week as well. But yeah, thank you very much for inviting me back on. I didn't embarrass myself too much last time that you're like, I'm never having Scott on. So. Yeah, I've got some thoughts to share, but also want to pick your brains about your week, Jack, because you've had a
Yeah.
very exciting one, right? So
I have, yeah. I've had a very exciting week. I'll tell everybody now. I was at the Davis Cup all week. It was great. Went there for pretty much every Glasgow tie, and of course the whole week. A lot of the matches were centred around what Andy was doing, and that's why I wanted to get a lot of your thoughts, Scott, certainly, and I'm sure you'll add a little bit of passion because you got to see a lot of them too. Andy was involved heavily in the Davis Cup ties this week, so I'll be talking a lot about that and my experience sort of talking to him a couple of times throughout the week as well. What else happened this week in Glasgow, and then just a little bit of what happened elsewhere, but that'll be sort of the end of the show. Most of the show will be what happened in Glasgow this week and the Davis Cup from those ties, basically. So yeah, if we dive in, Scott, have you got any questions first? I guess we could maybe start there.
yeah, no, absolutely, man. Because like I think everyone listening should give Jack a wee bit of a round of applause
Thanks,
for this week, because for sure it's a big moment for him. Was this your first chance to be accredited journalist at a tennis event, or? Yeah.
It was. It was my first time being accredited as a journalist. Was there every day apart from the Saturday was the only day I didn't go. First experience in press conferences. I think first thing I'll talk about is that, and got to interview Botis van de Zandschulp first and ask him a question. He was the first guy. I was like, okay, the press conference is at this time. Get down there, ask a question. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I got in there and Botis just started talking. I was like, oh my God, what the hell? What do I do? What do I do? What the hell's going on? Okay, brain, let's do this. I've got a question in front of me. I will read this out. I kind of was conscious for it. I'm pretty sure I got it right because he gave me a really good answer. He was quite funny, quite dry, as John said. He got quite a dry sense of humour.
Yeah.
So it was great. That went really well. Second one, I was a bit prepared, but of course it was Andy Murray and Joe Salisbury after the loss on the Wednesday as well. So they were low. I mean, it was like 1:30 in the morning, right? So I had this idea of like, I'd ask Andy, how do you like prepare for matches? Like, you're such a high tennis IQ. Like, I want to know about your match strategy and stuff. And immediately I was like, saw him, the two of them like head in their hands. I was like, I can't ask him that. I'm gonna need to change the question. And immediately, I kind of on the spot, I kind of came up with a different question. It was kind of poorly worded. It was just like, you lost a tie in Glasgow. How do you feel? It could have been worse, right? But he gave me a great answer, to be fair. So I mean, it was like 3 minutes long or so.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was like, I think I got the words out to the question correctly, but after that my leg was shaking so much, and he was looking right at me. He was he was like, I was like, yeah, cool, Andy, yeah. I was like shaking, but I think I was fine.
Yeah, what was that? What was that? Because obviously, I know. Obviously, you're a big Andy fan. You're a big British tennis fan. What was it? What was that like? Because I've often thought, if I ever get that opportunity, I'll be like, am I allowed to swear? Sorry, am I allowed to swear in your podcast? I'll be like, holy.
I'll bleep it.
And yeah, I'll be almost like overcome by the fact that I'm literally sitting in a room asking Andy Murray a question. But from your videos, Jack, you handled that like an absolute pro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, and I'm not just saying that because I'm chatting to you right now, but you sounded like an absolute consummate professional. But what was going through your mind? Like, what was that like? Just sitting in a room, you're like, "There's Andy Murray."
Thanks. Honestly, thanks, Scott. Because the first time I was obviously shaking, but I was like, I need to get the question out, be super professional about it. The whole time I didn't ask him for selfies or anything. Of course, it was kind of like, I'll deal with this as professionally as possible. Yeah. Second time I was in a press conference with him, oh my God, I was so tired, I suppose, so my brain kind of just was like all mushy, and I had a question in my head, and as soon as I started talking, I was like, I've frozen. I've got no idea what I'm going to say here. I think I got the question out, to be honest. I'm pretty sure I did, but I froze because in my head at least, and I just went into autopilot because I was completely shattered. I will watch it back, and he gave me an answer that would suggest I said the question correctly, but I mean, I did completely like, it was about best of 5 basically, and comparing it to best of 3 in the Davis Cup, and he gave me a great answer. So even if I'd said it wrong, he gave me material at least. I don't feel so like I cocked it up basically, but oh my god, I just like it's nervy. Is the bottom line? It's scary stuff, Scott.
I can't imagine. I honestly, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh my gosh, if that ever does come around, like I'm not sure how I'll handle it. But honestly, mate, from your videos of you asking questions, you did sound like a pro, mate. Like what was it like? What was that like? Because obviously you had the little lanyard on, you had the absolute like you were the proper journalist there. Like, so what was like the process there? Like what, like, getting in there, getting your little patch or things like that. What was it like a security check kind of thing? Like what was that like?
Yeah, you go inside, you've got to do your COVID thing, but I mean, they look at the pass, they scan it, you just walk straight in basically, and behind the scenes, you've got free food and stuff, it's great, everybody's just like sitting. I know, yeah, I'm a fan of free food, of course. I mean, nobody isn't, obviously, but particularly I'm a hungry guy. And I was just the media.
Jack's like the entire week was great, but that food,
genuinely was quite close to a highlight. Yeah, just sitting in the room. There's like everybody's just on their laptop. Basically, it's quite chill and yes. Yeah, it's quite. But then you've also got like Andy just walking about. Sometimes you've got people like walking about. A lot of famous players will just like come and go basically. And you kind of need to save face and be kind of pro about it, I guess. But
for sure, I can imagine because like that was one of the things I was like, I wonder if Jack will like. I wonder if you will ask for an autograph or something like that.
No,
I was like, nah, Jack's too much of a pro at this. Like, he'll handle it like he should handle it. Whereas I'm not sure I would. So it's been great to see, man. Like the kind of engagement that you've been getting on your post, deservedly so, mate, because it's been high quality reporting from you. So I'm sure that everyone listening to this probably follows you already, but do go follow Jack.
They might not, to be fair. Yeah.
On the off chance that you stumbled across this episode of Jack Podcast, do go give them a follow on Twitter.
To be fair, a lot of people coming from YouTube. So if you are on YouTube, yeah, go follow me on Twitter, please. _Jack.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's where I'm trying to make a little camp for myself, Scott. So there might be new listeners. So yeah,
that's fair. Then go give him a follow. And now shall we talk about tennis?
Yeah. Let's dive into the tennis now. Yeah. Right. So that was my week in media. It was great fun. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to hopefully Billie Jean King Cup, and we'll see what else I can get into. But that one definitely should happen if it's in Glasgow, or the most likely to happen. I've probably jinxed myself there. But starting from the start of the week in Glasgow, a lot of great matches. First match I saw, or the first tie, whatever you want to call it, was Kazakhstan v Netherlands. And right at the start of the week, we got off to a bang. Griekspoor was great against Kukushkin. The best match of that day, though, has got to be Botic van de Zandschulp v Sasha Bublik, because Botic did get the win. A little bit of a shout out to Botic the whole week because he won all 3 of his matches, and I don't think anybody else in any of the other ties, apart from Struff, I believe, for Germany, won all 3 ties. And obviously Botic was the top-ranked player for the Netherlands, and Struff was the second-ranked player, so arguably beating lesser players. But I mean, Botic beat Sasha Bublik this week. That was the lowest ranked player he beat. Taylor Fritz, Cam Norrie. He was great. He only dropped 1 set in the process. He's seriously upped his game. For people who don't know him, sort of one of those players who was a challenger player for quite a long period of his career, and it's only just made the next leap. Certainly this week he was serving 130 miles an hour, so crazy for a guy of his height. So he's really upped his game in that department, and generally just looks like such a great player. And it made Cam Norrie look second rate, certainly in the GP tie. I don't know if you saw that.
For sure, yeah. I mean, like, I think, not to jump over to the whole like Cam Norrie situation. I'm sure we will talk more about the members of Team GB, but like Cam's week in general was very, I don't know. I've seen a few people questioning whether or not like consistency or something like that for Cam, or I'm not sure, but like Norrie's week wasn't ideal for him, from what I could tell. Did he only? Am I right? He only won 1 match. Is that right? Like, and it was like
he beat Fritz.
Yeah, it was like a 3-set like slugfest, which was a good win to be fair. But like, I don't know. I just felt like he was. don't know. I don't know what was wrong. I don't know what was wrong with him this week. But...
Yeah, 4-2 to Van de Zandschulp was poor. I think I went to the press conference for that one and didn't ask him a question because he looked pissed. He didn't.
Really?
He was not interested in talking. I really don't think he was happy with that win, that loss even, I should say. So we can jump about, Scott. There's not much point in me going through day by day.
Sure.
And Norrie is one of the big focuses of the week because I feel like a lot of people will maybe not have seen Norrie play a ton, despite him obviously being at the top of the game for the last couple of years or so. But yeah, he kind of undersold how good a player he is this week, and I do feel he let himself down a little bit. In that Taylor Fritz rivalry, by the way. I don't know if you saw Vance posting that, but it's the most prolific rivalry of the last 3 years. No other set of players have played as many times.
Really? Wait. Yeah. Sorry, Taylor Swift and Taylor
Swift.
Taylor Fritz and who? Taylor Swift. That was it. Taylor Fritz and who? Sorry.
Taylor Fritz and Cam Norrie have played.
Really? No play. Yeah. Really? How many times have they played? I love that stat. Like,
I know it's mad. It's really bizarre. They've played 10 times and they've split it 5-5 now.
Oh my gosh! There you go. All right, so it is. Yeah, no, that's definitely one to keep an eye on for the future. Yeah. See which way that goes. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay, fair play.
It's bizarre, anyway. Yeah. Anyway, Cam, you don't want to point fingers, but certainly one other singles win, and we probably would have won another tie, and it's quite tough not to feel a little let down, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Like yeah. I mean,
but actually, it's just it's just Van de Zandschulp, right? Because he beat Taylor Fritz, and then it wouldn't have mattered if he'd beaten Bublik, I suppose.
That's right. Yeah, I mean that like the tie yesterday against Kazakhstan, like totally irrelevant. Doesn't matter. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's one of those things for Cam is it's like, and almost I guess with any British player for the Davis Cup team currently, for a Davis Cup team that has Andy Murray on it, I guess. Like, I mean, and that's what I think people are generally going to be circling this week about the Great British team, because I do think it deserves to like be looked at and be like kind of like circled and being looked at a little bit more, because it's like it's a tie in Glasgow and you've got Andy Murray on your team and you did not win. Like, you did not go through. You did not even come second in your group. Like, so it does, like, and it does deserve to be kind of like, circled at and looked at in a little bit more focus, because obviously something went wrong there that you need to be like, right, what happened here? Do you know what I mean? And I think it is one of those things where people are going to be like, should Andy have played a singles match on the first 2 days of the event? Like, should that have happened? Should he have done? Should he have played? Will Leon Smith be thinking, should I maybe have played Andy there? And the focus will be on Cam, because Cam's the highest ranked British player. He was selected first. So I guess like the kind of thing is like he like it falls on him to win his matches. You know what I mean? Like, he is expected to go out there and win his matches, especially when it's a home tie. So yeah, I think a lot of focus will be on Cam going forward the rest of the season, like after this. And I don't know. I'm not sure how we'll handle it. I guess we'll see, right? But yeah, it was tough to watch him at moments this week.
I definitely agree with that, Scott. I think it brings me to the next sort of question and the next focus, which, of course, we didn't see Andy play the singles, and maybe in an ideal world, who knows, he might have won those matches. But he did end up playing the doubles, and the first 2 doubles he played, which both ended up being tie deciding doubles, or rubber deciding doubles, basically. He lost both matches, and the first one he played, of course, quite controversial in that a lot of people thought maybe Salisbury and Skupski should have played the number 1 and number 3 in the world, right? But Murray ends up playing and they lose that match, and then the same in the second match as well. Now, Scott, you were at the match on the Wednesday. It started at 10 o'clock in the evening, right? It was it was a great match, first and foremost. A great match.
Amazing match. And you know what? Amazing atmosphere for that time as well. Like, crazy atmosphere for that time of the night. Like, I was surprised. I think Andy's went on record after that, like, and spoken to the press, saying that it looks unprofessional and it looks embarrassing to outsiders looking and being like, why is this sport happening at 1 a.m. in the morning? Like, why is this being played? Like, what's went wrong here that this is the case? And I think the biggest thing, biggest thing in the world, that's like, to avoid that in the future, just do what they did on the other ties days and start earlier? Like, what are you doing starting a day at like 4 p.m.? And I guess like if you look, like you're like, okay, I guess they're looking at maybe like people finishing work to be able to watch it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like it just seems so like it seems stupid, right? It seems like a silly decision to make, and everyone. And I think it was one of the things where I got to be there on that day, and it was an amazing day. It was great day, great tennis on offer, and great match, as you say, to finish it on up within the doubles at the end. But we were all sitting there throughout the day, and we all knew for a fact we were sitting there at like 5 o'clock, an hour after play began, and we were like, this we're gonna be here at 12. Like we knew it, and we knew it. I think I think Stu Fraser, maybe a journalist for the Times, tweeted out something similar around 6 o'clock, because the first matchup was Dan Evans, the Dan Evans match, singles match against
Tommy
Paul. That's correct, Tommy Paul. And like the first set went like an hour, and you're like, and so I think Stu Fraser tweeted out saying, "I'll be back with the results of this tie at like 1 o'clock in the morning." I think maybe he did it at like joking tweet, but like very quickly it became apparent. Yeah, that's what happened. I think did it all. Am I right? I think Dan lost his match in 3 sets. Is that right?
Yeah, 3 very tight sets, and then Taylor Fritz obviously lost his match in 3 tight sets to Cam Norrie.
Tight sets. And I will say that it's one of those things where it's like if you set up a day like that, and you're like, it was almost a case where it was like worst case scenario that there were 3 set matches all around, and it was all very close and very tight. So it's like, well, I suppose, but again, you have to kind of predict for that with tennis because of the score and because of the scoring system. So yeah, like to be there that day was amazing. It was brilliant, but it did result, and I was lucky enough that I was able to be like, I was able to stay with my friend Claire, who also does my podcast with me on Murray Musings.
Shout out to Claire, yeah.
Absolutely, shout out to Claire for being a legend. I was able to just stay on her couch overnight. But there were plenty of people who didn't have that option, didn't have that luxury, and had to leave early and had to miss out on seeing Andy Murray. And there was plenty of kids there who had obviously came with the intent to see Andy Murray play tennis, and their parents have brought them, no doubt. And there was one point where like a little kid came down and got a little like a tennis ball signed by Dan Evans towards the end of the Cam Norrie Taylor Fritz match, and got a ball signed by Dan Evans like at the change of ends, and the little boy was like, I need to leave to like go, like I'm going home because I need to go to bed because I go to school tomorrow. So it's one of the things where it's like that kid missed out on seeing Andy Murray play, and you know what I mean. It's just like you're playing tennis in Scotland, in Glasgow, and it's Andy Murray, and it's like surely you've got to do better than that to schedule it better.
You do just think people, people don't get off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon anyway. You start it a bit earlier. People kind of commit to taking a half day off. They come to the start of the match, and I really don't think it would make a difference to the crowd numbers at the start of the first match. It just seems bizarre to me. It does.
It just seemed like a very, very odd decision. Like, I mean, I guess we should say like the tennis on offer was amazing. Of course, like the tennis was brilliant. And I guess that was part of the frustration with it, is that there wasn't as many people there as there should have been for the good tennis that was played. So I mean, So in any case, so the scheduling, it's its own thing, I suppose, that we can talk about until the end of the end of this episode of the podcast. But yeah, the tennis itself was brilliant, and so you had Dan Evans getting an important win. Dan Evans getting a loss. Sorry, Dan Evans lost in 3. And then Cam Norrie gets his 1 win of the week in 3, and then it comes down to the doubles, right? So and it was like, I'm so torn on like whether or not Andy should have played singles in one of these ties. This one, I would say, I probably made the right decision to not play him, because you don't know how the players are going to adapt to Davis Cup at that point. It's the first tie. So, like, you've got Dan Evans, you've got Cam Norrie. Like, these are two, they've been playing pretty good tennis recently, I think. So, like, why not? Like, let's play them in singles. And we've got Andy Murray. So, we're going to obviously, and we know how Andy Murray is such a good doubles player. Let's play him in doubles and let's just see how that goes, right? So, I wouldn't, hindsight is a wonderful thing. I probably wouldn't have changed Like if the decision came to me, God help everyone if that happened. But I probably would have made the same decision with that, because it's like, well, yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? It makes sense. Like, why not? Like, let's see how this goes. It's the first tie of the week. It's not a be all and end all if it doesn't go our way. And at the end of the day, it was so close. So
could have went either way. Exactly.
Could have went either way. And yeah, generally, I thought that first day was really successful. It was really good. All players played well. And yeah, there was 3 tight matches. That's all you can ask for. It was just a big downer of like how late that went. It was just so tiring in the end. But good first tie, I think. Good first tie, right?
Yeah, it was. But interesting, obviously, you say that, because then we get to the Friday and Dan Evans beats Taylor Greekspur, Talon Greekspur, I should say. Botic, MVP of the week, beats Cam, and then again we're 1-1. And the Dutch pair of Koolhof Middelkoop, of course. Koolhof should be noted for being the doubles partner of Neil Skupski normally, basically. So
that's right. That's correct. So yeah. So that's why it was so. Yeah, it was so. Yeah, it could have been so interesting to watch, I suppose. Like had they played that pairing was so good. Do you not think?
Oh, they were great. Koolhof was amazing. Koolhof for me, man of the match. Definitely
amazing. He was pulling off shots that were just outrageous, and I think if I was, I guess, because I wasn't lucky enough to be there, you obviously were, so maybe you can talk about more what it was like to be in the arena. I would say that match for me, that doubles match for me, was the most kind of, I guess, like, I get, like, if you were to kind of circle, I think that this is what the kind of danger was with this great, like, British kind of like Davis Cup tie, is obviously it's playing in Glasgow, so it's like the focus is like Andy Murray. Like, a lot of people there are going to be there for Andy, and it wasn't just about Andy, but this doubles match, I would say, was probably the most, I would say, Andy Murray-esque match of the week. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, totally.
With the whole like way that second set went, was saving a match point, if not 2, maybe at least 1 match point.
Just the one, I think. Yeah, just
one match point. And like the celebration of Andy, the classic, like screaming to the crowd, getting them all hyped. Yeah, Dan Evans running around on the sidelines, getting everyone hyped up. It went to a tie break. They won that. And I remember saying like it was almost midway through the kind of third set. And when I think the Netherlands broke the British squad to go up. And it was, I think it was one of those moments where it was like, we've had so many of these times throughout the career of Andy Murray where, like, you know, in singles and doubles, in any kind of event that he plays, like, you know, he helps or he does save, you know, a big moment in a match, and then goes on to win. And it just felt like so many times in recent years we've seen Andy, you know, do something similar to that, like save a big moment in a match, and everyone's like, oh, here we go, and then it hasn't quite went his way. Does that make sense? Like, and it hasn't quite went the way that maybe it used to consistently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. You still see these big Andy moments, but the result isn't the same as it used to be.
Isn't the same. It's not quite the same result at the end. It's not quite the same kind of epic victory from the jaws of defeat kind of thing that Andy made, you know, his own throughout his career, really. And this, again, in doubles, so it's a totally different beast, and it's Davis Cup, so it's not really his kind of like singles career or anything like that, but it does still matter. It does still matter, especially when it's played in front of a Glasgow crowd. And Andy, and I think if anybody was going to agree with me on that, it's Andy Murray, because he will have been devastated by that match, because they will definitely felt that they should have won that with the crowd on their side and things like that. But has to be said, that Netherlands team, like, great. So good, so good.
Yeah, they won all their ties, of course.
Amazing, like so good to watch. And I think that's the thing. Like, it almost feels bad, and it's, you know, it's going to happen with every kind of home tie where a home team is playing. Like, they were pulling off outrageous shots, like some of the volleys, like outrageous shots, and just the crowd was just not cheering them at all. They were like, oh, you know, like, not bad. So it's obviously going to happen, but you have to feel for them. And I think that in a way is, you know, what makes it all, you know, arguably even more impressive, like, for them.
Totally.
To not have that crowd support and still be able to, like, rile themselves up enough to, like, get themselves over a line against Andy Murray and, of course, Joe Salisbury, who deserves a major shout out as well. I haven't given him enough plaudits, but he played well as well. I think. I saw a few people suggesting that maybe Andy played better than Joe in that match, but I think that's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there too
Joe
much.
still played well, but honestly, I still thought I thought Joe was the worst player on court, but worst is such a harsh word because the level was so high. I didn't think he did much wrong. Just a few loose service games, but that that makes him probably the least valuable player in that match. Just unfortunately, just still held his own, still great performance. So it wasn't nothing to hang your head.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm intrigued here then, Jack, because like kind of in my kind of like looking back, that is maybe the tie where I might have tried to like. I know, and again, that was an epic Andy Murray performance in that doubles match. That's maybe the time where I might have changed some things around. Like I might have tried Andy in a singles match. I don't know. Like, what are you thinking on that? What are you thinking?
There's not much to be lost there. I think Dan still would have got beaten by Botic van de Zandschulp, to be honest, and Andy still would have had to have found his way through Griekspoor, who of course gave Andy a lot of trouble a few Davis Cups ago, if you remember that one, third set tiebreak. So then, maybe Skupski and Joe do a better job in the doubles.
Went together better, They might just went together better.
Yeah, but again, Andy's quite right. It's another match they could have won, to be honest. It really was very close. And they were very close to going that break up in the third set. I think Andy netted a forehand return that he said he hit cleanly, but just tried to put a bit too much on. Really not much in it at all. So, no regrets.
Yeah, I'm intrigued as to what it was like in the arena at the end of that match. Did it just feel like a gut punch?
It did. It did. It's a shame. It's a little bit of a segue to Sunday because Sunday was the best day for me, for sure, atmosphere-wise. On the Friday, I don't know, everybody was kind of into it, but it just wasn't as loud. I really don't know. Like, as previous Davis Cup ties I'd been to, I didn't really understand it. It was still good, but not, the actual section of the crowd, the Murraynators, etc., were doing their bit, of course. They always do, but the rest of the arena was a little bit flat, I would say, just a wee bit. Yeah, I think maybe because we were always kind of behind, to be fair, we were pretty big at the end of the second set, but never really enough to feel like it was a fiery atmosphere. So
for sure,
little bit lacking, I would say. But I really did want to, because after that match, obviously it was such a gut punch. Everybody was really down, and Andy himself said Sunday's dead. It's I really wish it was alive, but it's dead. And that was the story of the week, the dead rubber. So that was the best dead rubber I've ever been to. It was great.
And so I again, annoyingly, unfortunately, wasn't able to make that day, and it's a huge regret of mine that I wasn't able to make it because it looked amazing. It looked fantastic, and I'm sure you'll be able to tell me more about it. But I think a lot can be kind of unpacked and kind of analyzed about why that might be. There's been a lot, of course, criticism about Davis Cup, about the kind of structure of Davis Cup, and about the new way of doing things. And while I do think that things should be changed and things, I miss the old way of things where it was home away ties, and those should definitely come back and things like that. And I saw that you tweeted something similar to that, Jack, not so long ago. Saying that you agreed with that and that the old format was better. And I think generally everyone agrees on that. I'm not sure anyone really kind of prefers this way of doing things, to be honest with you. But what I do need to say about Davis Cup, from even my day there and just from watching the other few days there as well, like, it's just such a valuable event for people to come together and things like that. And then to make it so, it's a dead rubber, so that there's no kind of real value too much in these in on that day. That there's not really kind of any kind of pressure on either side really too much. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously they don't want to finish bottom of the group, but so you can totally try and work out why that. So no pressure, no kind of so both teams came in and they just wanted to win. Like, obviously both teams just wanted to win, to finish the week on a high, to take something from this event. No team wanted to go in that week, and especially the Great British team didn't want to go in and lose all three ties and a home tie. So I don't know. It just looked fantastic. Again, this was helped and influenced, obviously, my opinion of it from watching from afar. I know a lot of my friends made it that day, and they were meeting up together, and they got photos with the squad. They got photos with Andy at the end. I saw that you got a chance to meet up with a couple of them as well, and it just looked like a great. Almost, I guess, maybe they turned it into kind of like there's no tournament pressure on this. None of us are going through, so it's like Well, we may as well just have fun with it. Do you think? Do
that
you
is
think
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not in the way I was expecting. I thought it would be quite exhibition-y and a like
Okay.
boob like mucks about sort of way, but it was just like we're gonna make this as entertaining as possible in a fiery, competitive way. And although Andy was down
Nice.
on the Friday, he came out on the Sunday and he played like he was playing a Wimbledon final. Basically, he was
Yes.
determined to beat that guy Popko, and the
Mhm.
crowd were so behind him. I think Leon touched on it in the press conference or the on-court interview, just like dead rubber. Are you kidding me? Like, this has been the best atmosphere I've ever seen at a dead rubber in my life, which is true. It was so good. Like, everybody was just so into it, so behind Andy for Popco. That was such a vintage, just Glasgow gets to see Andy play singles performance.
It was a classic from it. So that I did get to watch all that match, and it was it was classic, like gurning Andy Murray, wasn't it? It was like
exactly. Goes down a break in the first set, and it's like gets it back, and then a little bit miffed with himself,
and so annoyed with himself. And even at like 5-3 up, he was like swiping the ground with his racket. And I do think it needs to be highlighted. What you highlighted for us on Twitter, what he said in his press conference after that match about was it at that point at 5-3 up or 5-2 up, was it? Sorry. Where he realized that this might be, oh my gosh, might be his last time playing in Glasgow, playing a an actual tour event in Glasgow, and in Scotland even potentially, and that made that more significant for me, right? Like, it made that moment just wow. Okay, yeah. Now we're really kind of in the end game here with this, and it might well be. It could well be. We're all hoping it won't be. Obviously, there's Battle of the Brits at the end, but that's in Aberdeen, and it's just an exhibition event at the end of this year. But like, that might be. It could be the last time where even if Andy's still active, like, there's a possibility that there's going to be more young British players. You've got Jack Draper really riling for it, for a place in the team in the future. And it's, it's one of those moments where, was that the last time we see Andy Murray play a tennis match on home soil? What do you think, Jack? What do you think? Is that how you felt watching it?
It was, yeah. It was one of those moments where I just felt like this is. It's certainly at 5-3 as well, 30-all. You could see that afterwards. Such a big point. I think it was like a 20-shot rally or something. He plays a drop shot at the end, and he gets the crowds, on their feet basically. Because as he said afterwards, he was feeling the nerves. He lost his focus a little bit. It was just so tough for him to kind of stomach, and he got a bit emotional. And he was, obviously, he was close to tears in the interview afterwards. And he said in the press conference how much he loves playing in Glasgow. Scotland should be absolutely clinging to keep professional tennis here, which is so true. Like, if we've got Davis Cup and Billie Jean King Cup, we should not be letting go of that without a fight. He's quite right.
It's one of those things where Andy now, like, again, and maybe I tweeted something similar to this after it happened, but it's one of those things where it's like, whenever Andy comes, plays tennis with Scotland or like a home tie, even just generally, like, or like, in Britain even generally, like, when he gets interviewed on Go after, that there's going to be some tears there these days, don't you? You know him reflecting back on how far he's came and how far he's went, and to the point that he's arrived at. It must feel surreal for him to look around, remembering, like, I guess all the times that he went to Glasgow as a junior to like hit and play, and the times where Judy no doubt spent driving him to practice and to tournament events around Scotland in like terrible weather and like on awful tennis courts and things like that. It must feel very surreal to him to then be out in front of a crowd like that who are supporting him in a dead rubber. Do you know what I mean? And I think that again needs to be highlighted. Like, it was a match that, like, realistically didn't have any kind of tournament value on it, and yet still they were out there and they were roaring him to the end of this match. And
so Scottish, honestly.
Absolutely.
So Absolutely. we'd already lost, but
exactly. I think that's part of it. Honestly, is the Scots, like, say what you want about us, but we'll make the best of it.
Definitely.
Of what we're given, right?
we're used to losing in sport, so we came out there and gave it our all for sure.
Absolutely.
Without any qualms.
Fantastic watch, and obviously as Andy's only singles match that week, it was it was great to see. Obviously it took him looked like in the early stages, looked a little bit shaky in the early stages when he went down the break, but I think you always kind of felt like Andy had a little bit too much for his opponent
Yeah,
there.
of course.
You know,
It was always going to happen.
Yeah, a bit too much quality, and just give Andy some time, and he was gonna get back into it. But yeah, it just looked like a great atmosphere. It looked like a party atmosphere almost, I suppose. Like
yeah, it was. It definitely was.
Yeah, which I wish I was there for. What was it like to? Were you you were in Andy's press conference after that? Like you were there for that? Yeah. And was his mood like? Because again, his quote sounded a little bit like almost like, I guess, like reflective on his career. As an ambulance should drive by my window there.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, it kind of sounded reflective on his career and things like that. So like, did he sound downhearted or upbeat or what was he feeling?
Yeah, but melancholy there for sure. You know, I think he felt the weight of that, and he really did feel like Glasgow wasn't a guarantee in the future, so he felt that. But there was nothing about, no injury scares or anything like that. I just think he just knows he's in the latter part of his career, but I don't think, he's going to keep playing, of course, as long as he can. I don't think he feels like it's ending anytime soon. He didn't refer to Federer like, he was going to be suffering the same fate anytime soon or anything like that. He's going to keep playing as long as he can.
Yeah, you do wonder whether or not like Federer's retirement, because he did speak about that briefly, didn't he? And I think he said that he didn't know, like Federer hadn't mentioned to any. I imagine Federer didn't really mention to any of them, even Nadal, who a lot of people think that Federer is very, very close with Nadal, and I'm sure to a certain extent they are. But I imagine Federer didn't really kind of disclose to any like of his colleagues that he was planning to like call it a day before he then announced it. But you do wonder, you do wonder whether or not like Federer's retirement did make him a little bit more like, oh well, I mean, my time must be coming at some point soon. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I think Scotland, I think Glasgow, I think Glasgow since Scotland more generally, just we do need to show up for Andy in the future, don't we? If there is ever any other opportunity to do so, we got to. We got to keep him going as long as we can, and also and do exactly what he says. Like we've got to. I don't think it's too late. I don't think it's too late to capitalize on the Murrays in Scotland. I really don't, because they're still playing right now, and they're still kind of going right this second. So it's like, well, we can do more. We can do more, right? We can do more. So,
definitely. Battle of the Brits will be great. Actually, I'm really excited for that.
I think it will. Are you planning on going to that? Are you planning on turning up? Yeah, fantastic. We'll see you there.
It's gonna be good.
So what was the other two matches like to be there for the final day? Like it looked good. The doubles match looked amazing.
Norrie, Biblik, not much to comment on there. Again, Norrie pretty flat in that one, to be honest, compared to the Van de Zandschulp one, where Van de Zandschulp was just great. Norrie just a little bit lackluster in that one. The doubles was great. Skupski, obviously, with a wee chip in his shoulder, just wanted to show the world that he was number 3 for a reason. Fair enough. Yeah, he turned up and played an absolute clinic against Bublik and Nedovysov, who were great as well. They hadn't lost a doubles match all week, obviously. Yeah. And won it over 3 tie breaks, 3 hours or so. So it was amazing. It was fantastic.
Amazingly to end it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Joe touched on it.
How long was that? That must have been like 3 hours, right?
Yeah, it was about 3 hours. Yeah, just over. Yeah,
amazing.
So it was great.
And so good that we got a tie win.
I know. We couldn't have shown face again if we didn't get at least one tie win at home. I mean, come on.
It would have been shameful. It
was great though. It was.
Yeah.
Great.
So I guess the result is that Great Britain is out for this year. Which, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. I don't think we'd have been beating other teams that have qualified, to be fair. I don't think we were winning it with the team we've got at the moment. It's unlikely for sure. It's certainly Italy and Spain, the favourites, and we probably would have ended up against one of those if we'd only just clawed our way into the final stages. So it's not the end of the world. It's fine. It was a good week. It was enjoyable.
And just to, I guess, have it in Glasgow again was just such a kind of important thing for us to
exactly.
To again, like, I guess, like cling hold of almost, and to have Andy there just representing like Scotland on the kind of world stage again, which is always good to see, I suppose. And it was, and again, like I think it's worth saying that, like, I do think it's worth saying that, like, because a lot of people have said, okay, so the change to the Davis Cup, and like, it's not worth saving because it's too far gone from what it used to be, and it's not. But from my experience, from my one day there, it was just so good, and it was just, it's such an opportunity to go there and meet people that you've chatted with online about tennis, and just who you've connected with just not in person with about tennis and things like that. Like, and I don't know. I just think there's such a value in that. That it's not worth just getting rid of or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? It's such a kind of important kind of event that I think still holds like a key place. Yes, I think it should change, but like I don't know.
But everybody's there to back in the same thing, the team rather than a player. So it's just so important to get everybody sort of rooting for the same cause, I guess. Team events in tennis in general, I'm all for them.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, and I often think like you do just see like the best of most players when they come out, and it's not just because these players go out there, and unless they're just like unless they're solely doubles players, in which case obviously you're working with like a partner, like, but these are players that generally go out there on their own on the court and just have to kind of like manage it. Obviously they have their teams there, but it's just them, and it's it's quite a lonely sport, and I think it's been said before. It looks like one of the loneliest sports when you're out there, and you have to just work it out on your own out there. And I think that is both what kind of appeals and puts people off from tennis at times, because some people prefer like the atmosphere of like a team squad kind of like sport, I guess. And some people prefer to watch players and athletes work things out on their own. But I do just think there's such a cool kind of this is such a cool way of doing it, where you still have the player going out there and like representing their country like kind of on their own out there, but then also you've got like the team like supporting them down the sidelines and like cheering them on, and kind of like you've got the team captain there who's able to like give them some thoughts as they're passing by. And I don't know, I don't know, maybe I'm just saying this because it's like days after I was there, and yesterday looked like such a cool event and such a cool tie, but I don't know, it just gives good vibes. Do you know what I mean? And yes, I do think things need to be changed, and I do kind of miss the way it used to be. But I think maybe there's a middle ground to be drawn. I will say, because I think I met like a mutual Twitter follower of mine who was there. I'll give her a shout out, Audrey. And she at the Davis Cup on Wednesday, and she pointed out, and I think maybe it's something to think about. She was like, "Yeah, I do miss a kind of home and away ties. I really do miss that." But you are kind of seeing like the players are kind of, I guess, more able to commit to this kind of thing over a shorter period of time. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas like before, you would often have a couple of ties where like certain players weren't able to turn up on the weekend and things like that. Whereas I guess, I don't know, you're able to kind of see more players be able to commit to that. So I don't know, maybe there's like a middle ground to be found.
There's loads of positives though. I think you're right, and I think the bottom line to end on as well, of course, is that the Davis Cup is, I'm all for the Davis Cup. It's long may it live and prosper. If it can find some sort of balance, of course. Maybe some changes, Scott, you're right, but I'm pro Davis Cup as of this week. It was great.
As am I, mate. And I do just want to say before we do wrap up, because I'm aware that we were supposed to chat for half an hour and we're 45 minutes in here.
That's fine.
Major shout out to Jack again, ladies and gents, for what he did this week, because I think it was a big moment for you, mate. And I think like I don't know, you say you were nervous, you say you were like feeling the nerves a wee bit, but just from reading your tweets, just from like watching like the questions you asked these world-renowned athletes, mate, you sounded like an absolute pro out there, and I'm not just saying that, mate. So congrats.
Thanks very much.
And it's more to come for you, mate. I can tell more to come for you. So
thanks very much, Scott.
Big shout out to you, mate. Big shout out to you. More to come.
Thanks very much, Scott. Very kind words.
No worries.
It means a lot, of course, and hopefully you're right. Yeah, the more I can do, the better. Definitely, absolutely. That's the plan. So absolutely. Fingers crossed. Hey, on that lovely note, Scott. I'll wrap up there. Thanks very much, everybody, for listening. Please go follow Scott on Twitter at BarclayCard18. Please go follow myself on the line_Jack. And if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. I'll catch you next time on the Online Tennis Podcast. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you.
See you.